Hairdressers, beauticians, and accountants might have an increased risk of ovarian cancer, according to a study published in the journal Occupational and Environmental Medicine. The research also indicates potential risks for those in sales, retail, apparel, and construction sectors. And main tasks performed. Cumulative length of employment in a job or industry was then categorized as never, less than 10 years, and 10 or more years. The Canadian Job Exposure Matrix, CAN-JEM, was used to calculate participants' exposure to specific agents in the workplace, and the relationship between exposure to each of the 29 most common agents and ovarian cancer risk was then assessed. After accounting for potentially influential factors, the calculations indicated that several job roles may be linked to a heightened risk of the disease. Specifically, working for 10 or more years as a hairdresser, barber, beautician, and in related roles was associated with a threefold higher risk, while employment for 10 or more years in accountancy was associated with a doubling in risk, and working in construction with a near tripling in risk. Similarly, long-term work in the clothing industry, including embroidery, was associated with an 85% heightened risk of developing the disease, while working in sales or retail was associated with heightened risks, respectively, of 45% and 59%. Heightened risks of more than 40% were observed for high cumulative exposure, 8 or more years, compared with none, to 18 different agents. Further studies to replicate the findings will be needed, they emphasize. But they nonetheless conclude that their results suggest that employment in certain occupations and specific occupational exposures may be associated with increased risks of ovarian cancer. The current study reminds us that while the lack of representation of women in occupational cancer studies, and indeed, even potential strategies to address this issue, have been long recognized, there is still a need for improvement in studying women's occupational risks, write DR's Melissa Friesen and Laura Bean Freeman of the U.S. National Cancer Institute in a linked commentary. By excluding women, we miss the opportunity to identify risk factors for female-specific cancers, to evaluate whether sex-specific differences in risk occur, and to study exposures occurring in occupations held primarily by women, they conclude.